and welcome to the iGeeksBlog show, an Apple exclusive podcast where we talk about teeny tiny, every possible information about the Apple ecosystem. I'm your host Harshanki, a marketing nerd who likes to eat, breathe, and survive on Apple content quite literally. Today's episode is going to be something out of the blue, okay? Because to be very honest, this was heavily inspired by MKBHD because I was listening to his latest review of Galaxy S22, right? What a great review that man has done. But the title caught my attention, and he has titled the episode as the iPhone of Androids. Now, that made me wonder that probably he's not wrong. And I think we should dig deep and see if not really S22 is an iPhone of Androids, but are the Android phones really trying to be inspired from iPhones? Is that the case? Are smartphones really trying to be the new iPhones? And this is exactly what we are going to cover in today's episode. But before that, please connect with us on our social media channels. We're available across every streaming platform of your choice, any social media that you want. And if you want to connect with me, you can always hit me up on Instagram. I'm available as Harshanki with an extra I. Okay, so see, over the past years, over the last decades, iPhone has been the phone that has been known for its designs, right? iPhones have been immensely popular for the designs. Now, when I say designs, the world had gotten crazy when the iPhone design change was observed in iPhone 7, if I'm not wrong. They went gaga, they went crazy. And not just that, even from the first iPhone itself, right? The world had not seen anything like that. So we can all agree to the fact that iPhones have design as one of the most important USPs, for sure, hands down. But after iPhone 10 and the the successors, after iPhone 10 and the successors, majority of the phones, the Android phones or Google phones that have come in the market, not Google, but the Android phones that have come in the market, look kind of similar to iPhones, don't you think? Okay, how do you differentiate an iPhone from other phones, other Android phones? Like this sleekness that they have, then the notch, which is going maybe or maybe not in the coming iPhone, but you did not hear it from me, okay? So, like the sleek appeal that it has, the stainless steel body that used to come, the vibrant colors, the camera placements, the touchscreen button for a couple of iPhones, and then just removing that. So that's how you identify an iPhone, right? Those are some notable features that just differentiates iPhones from the others. And after a little later, the cameras also. When they started introducing iPhones with dual and quad cameras and triple cameras, that is also something that sets them apart from the other phones. Now, if you look at a lot of phones in the market, okay, now this is going to be a broad spectrum because when you talk about companies such as Oppo and Vivo, 90% of the phones that they have are inspired by other companies and the way they look. It can be inspired from Samsung, it can be inspired from an iPhone, and that has been an ongoing discussion for a very long time, right? The amount of memes that we have seen throughout the year that bragging about them looking eerily similar to the iPhone or stuff like that, that just makes me wonder that, yeah, it is true. However, later, after OnePlus phones became popular, they were also very dominant in the industry for a while because they were, and OnePlus fans don't hate me, please don't hate me for that. But the trollers had started labeling OnePlus phones as affordable iPhones for people. But why is this comparison happening to iPhone? And are these phones really inspired from iPhones? Now, forget about all these other models that I just talked about, okay? Because it is going to be such an elaborate discussion that it goes beyond the scope of this podcast. Let's just compare it to the latest Samsung phone that came out in the market. You know how the world is divided when it comes to luxury phones or when it comes to affluent phones. Now, affluent phones are something that maybe a little high on the budget side, but everyone wants to talk about it. Everyone wants to invest in them. And when I talk about such affluent phones, no, you have always heard battles between iPhone and Samsung, and either of them trying to take the first place. Now, India is a country which is so diverse that has lot of different phones, right? iPhone surprisingly only represents 4% of the market share. And the companies such as Gionee, Oppo, Vivo, these companies represent nearly 50% of the total smartphone share in the country. That's how diverse our country is. But when you talk about the US, 79% of people are freaking iPhone users. Now, 79% is freaking huge, okay? No one has gotten to such high numbers ever. Ever. Like, nobody has gotten to such high numbers. And maybe this is why, when you talk on a global scale, with the US being the country that everyone wants to get into, US being the market that everyone wants to get into, people would want their phones to resemble iPhone or at least give some kind of differences. However, Samsung a lot of times has managed to set itself apart design wise. Okay, we're still stuck on design. Design wise, Samsung a lot of times has tried to set itself apart. However, the behavioral pattern is heavily inspired by iPhone. For instance, iPhone 13 and all the 13 models do not have much of a design change when compared to iPhone 12 models, right? Similarly, S22 did not do much of design change compared to S21. It's almost similar, potato. There's not much difference there. So that is a feature which is heavily inspired. A behavioral change that is heavily inspired by iPhone. Another thing that I can compare that Samsung has in common with the iPhones or is motivated is a share play like feature introduced on Google Duo where you can have watch parties together, where you can be doing stuff together. Now, this is something that doesn't make sense to me, okay? And probably I'm not the first one to say it, and of course, not the last one. A lot of discussions going to happen about it. But ha, please try like be my guest, explain why is this happening, okay? So Google Duo has a feature introduced just like SharePlay where you can like be watching stuff and doing things together, but it is only introduced in S22. Now, if Galaxy S22 is the only phone to have it, they have had no announcements whatsoever that when are the other phones going to get this feature? How would it be introduced to other phones? Nothing like that. It's only available for S22, mind you. But why is it like that? I mean, if the feature has been created by Google, then shouldn't Google phones be having them? Shouldn't Pixel phones be having this feature? It is a little messy, and to be honest, I fail to see the logic behind this. Nevertheless, this is something also which is kind of inspired from iPhone. Okay, now all the Samsung lovers listening to this episode may feel that I'm being biased towards an iPhone and maybe not giving you the fair opinion. See, I'm not trying to compare any models here. Okay, when you talk on a bigger scale, when you talk on a grand scale, iPhone has been the pioneer to a lot of things which other companies have followed. And design is a great example of that. We had BlackBerry phones before, we had Samsung phones before iPhone, the first ever iPhone was introduced. Now, they introduced the idea of having slimmer, longer, sleek phones, and the world followed. Similarly, after the introduction of I guess A13 just took the world by storm. Yeah, A13 just took the world by storm. But then as A13, 14, 15, these things have literally been so fast. No chip in the world can beat it. In fact, I mean, according to the reports that you read or see online, there's a 22% increase in performance when you compare a 14 and A15 bionic chip. That's how stronger and faster they are. But they were the pioneers who forced the world to beat the competition, and now the other phones are getting faster as we speak. Now, see, it's a no brainer that there are a lot of models out there, Android phone models out there, which have features that iPhone has never had, and we want them. Like, those are basic features. But when you talk about something that changes the world, when you talk about a feature that is ready to take the world by storm, no? iPhone has been the pioneer. And this is exactly what makes me wonder if the world is going to follow the legacy and we're going to have more and more similar looking phones to iPhone or similar behavioral phones to iPhone. But just to end this on a fair note, I am really impressed with the variable FPS quality that S22 is offering. So they have a variable of what, up to 60 gigahertz, no, up to 120 gigahertz. Yes, they have a variable FPS of 120 gigahertz. iPhone 13, on the other hand, is just stuck at 60. That's kind of sad. That is really sad. But when you compare it with us 21 and 22, of course 22 has had a better performance. I just have one tiny thing to add if you guys don't mind, and that is about the cinematic mode, which was recently introduced in S22 and has forever been there. Not forever, but for the last few models have been there in iPhones. Okay, just saying, just saying, don't take it personally. Anyway, moving towards the end of this episode, now we've just tried to cover the design aspect and partial performance in comparison with the iPhones, right? But when you talk about the legacy, it was started by iPhone and the world is following it. The world is out there that is taking care of it, that is being inspired by it. Now, there can be two very important reasons. The first reason being that iPhone or Apple as a company is forcing the world to create products that are faster, better, slimmer, and the best performers out there. There are a lot of Apple products which stand unbeatable till date on a couple of its features. That's how good the product are. And the other phones, to keep up with it, are trying to move at a faster pace. Somehow, somewhere down the line, end up replicating it or being heavily motivated or inspired by the iPhone itself or by the Apple product itself. I hope this has been a good comparison for you. Let me know if you guys would like to see a detailed analysis, but I really didn't want to get into a couple of smartphone models and try to discuss why or what are the exact features that are similar. See, there are tons of videos on the internet that have done that for us. We have compared iPhones with even a 10,000 phone or a 15,000 phone with little to minimum features, but on just one factor, that they look similar. So I'm not going to do that for you and I'm going to save you from the misery. But this episode was purely meant to get your brain thinking and realize that, oh yes, a lot of phones out there, because of the way iPhones have been fastening their growth over the year and have been providing better quality to its users, have been highly motivated from iPhone and are coming up with features that make them look similar to the iPhone or behave similar to iPhone. Let me know what are your views about it. I would love to hear something from you guys. But before that, do not forget to connect with us on our social media channels. We're available as iGeeksBlog. And if you want to connect with me, you can hit me up on Instagram. I'm available as Harshanki with an extra I. With that, I'd be ending today's episode, but I'll see you next week with more exciting content and a lot of exciting things. So you know where to find us. Also, do check out our app, the iGeeksBlog, because all of this that we're talking or you're watching or listening to is in written format available right there, and a lot of other exciting how-tos that you need on a day-to-day basis. Okay, this is Harshanki signing off. I'm going to see you guys next week. Till then, take care, stay safe, and stay connected.